Hey gamers, what's up? Thanks for checking out Grind Force Gaming. Today we're coming at you with an exciting video. I am here with Datskat. Say hello, Datskat.
What's up, everybody? How we all doing?
We got an exciting video today. We are going to be doing it's a tier list, but it's kind of specialized. It's zoned in specifically on how you should spend your diamonds. So we're going to be talking about the special summon units and the divination units and where your gems would be best spent.
Yeah, I think this is a really fun tier list idea for exactly what you just said, Falcon. Gems are a big part of this game, and there is no larger expenditure of gems than pulling for divination characters, let alone special summon characters with those tickets. And you might be,
Absolutely.
yes, and you might be a fighter playing Street Fighter Duel who's buying the special summon tickets every day with gems. So whatever route you go down to get these specialized fighters, you have to invest a lot of gems. And so we wanted to, for sure, give you guys our thoughts about who makes the cut and who doesn't.
That's right. I mean, this is kind of the meat and potatoes of strategy when it comes to this game, because the one area where we separate ourselves from the other players is the fighters that we choose to invest in. This is kind of the most important question. Where do you spend your diamonds? Which special summon units do you go for first? Which divination units do you go for first? And how do you balance those two expenditures, which are both enormous diamond costs?
Oh, certainly, certainly, certainly. And just for fun here, Falcon, who did you decide to spend diamonds on your account? I'm curious.
Well, let's see. In order, I got M Bison to SS first.
Yep, got to do it.
I strongly recommend that for everybody. We'll probably talk about that shortly. And then I immediately went to Jen because I was really excited about that kit
Hmm.
and got him straight up to SSS, and then went back to Bison to finish him off. Those are my first two. What were yours?
Okay, so my first one, obviously Bison. You got to do it.
How
There's
to do it.
no, you got to do it. No questions. And then I'm pretty sure, if I'm recalling correctly, Trendy Cammy came out pretty soon after the game kind of opened up for me, and I went all in on Trendy Cammy and got her to SSS. She rocks. We'll talk more about her later, but I did
Yeah.
Trendy Cammy, and then I did Sagat. I for sure did Sagat. See, I put a lot of time into Evil Ryu. That kind of took up my divination for a while, getting him from SSS to SSS plus 2 for
Oh
the
yeah,
Soul Stones, which is a
for
big
sure.
deal.
Let's just jump right in and kind of pick at random. I'm going to go through these. They're kind of scattered about on my roster on the base here. We're just going to go through randomly.
Sweet.
How about we start with the brand new one that just dropped, Pharaoh Sagat.
Pharaoh Sagat. Okay. So on our Discord channel, the Street Fighter Duel chat hasn't been too kind to Pharaoh Sagat.
It has not.
However, I haven't I read his kit, I looked at his FS, I looked at his vehicles, um, and he seems to be just doing a lot of things. And in my experience, fighters who aren't specialized or don't have quite as an acute attack style just kind of fall off. They're kind of just a balanced meh, you know? You need you could call it a gimmick if you wanted, but you need that fighter to be performing a task or filling a role. And I have no idea where I'd put somebody like Pharaoh Sagat. Like zero idea.
I've only just started going through the trials today.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly how all of this is going to shake out. But like you said, our Discord has not been kind so far. We're having a hard time placing where he's going to have his utility.
Yeah.
We can't visualize a comp right now where he's going to be a worthwhile investment. He's
Like
got some really cool stuff going on,
super
but
cool, very
nothing.
unique.
Yeah, but nothing that's gonna that at least at this point seems to be able to turn the tide of a battle.
Exactly. He just seems to be like a pain in the butt to kill. You know,
Yeah. What do you think as far as a tier? It's kind of undecided at this point. Should we put
yeah,
it in you if we're undecided?
leave him in you because we just don't have the data. We just don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
Fighters like Vega. at first people were underimpressed, and then lately he's been getting a resurgence
Yeah, he is on the rise.
on the rise, and I've been
Top in
seeing
some of
him
the
on
boss fights.
oh yeah, he's a powerhouse on these boss fights. And anyway,
Let's go ahead and segue that into Vega. Let's go
sweet.
right into it. We already started talking about it. Where, in your opinion, first gut impression, where do we put Vega?
Just because of his boss fight utility, I think he's gonna be an A. I think I'm gonna put him as an A. I'm very impressed with Vega, but I could very easily put him as a B too. But I'm going A. I love Vega. Let's go A.
He's very cool. I love Vega too.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of interesting as more of these fighters join the ranks to see how he ranks against these other fighters that we're doing right now. Because specifically in the special summon and divination pool, maybe he does fall down a tier because we're looking at kind of a niche selection of these fighters.
That's really interesting. Okay.
I'd say we leave him at A for now,
Okay.
but kind of keep that in the back of our minds because this is about priority.
This,
And when
yeah.
we're talking about all of these fighters in particular, that could be he could slide down a notch.
Yeah. Do you really need a boss fighting unit? I don't know. Probably not if you're still deciding who to spend gems on.
He's got to outweigh someone else.
Yeah. Yep.
He's got to provide value that someone else doesn't give. So let's jump over to another boss unit that you know well, Trendy Cammy.
Oh, man. She needs to be in the same tier as Vega because uh, that's all she does. That's all she's going to do for you. She's not going to do anything else. But what she does very, very well, So, and that's kind of the trade off, right? So, okay, so she's only a boss unit, but she's one of the best boss units. So she has a gimmick, and what her gimmick is, she does very well. And so I think she's in that same tier as Vega.
A is where we put Vega if you want to keep them in the same
I do.
tier.
I want to keep them together. Somebody out there could decide to build Vega, and that's awesome. And then the person right next to them decides to build Trendy Cammy, and both are going to be just fine.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think that's kind of the key is when you could go either direction here and you won't be going wrong.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead to one of these limited time units. Let's discuss these for a second. Let's
Okay.
go to say Dom.
Dante?
Yeah.
Well, those who got him don't use him very much. I guess he has like a niche role in some lineups, but I honestly don't know a whole heck of a lot about him other than he's impossible to get.
Right. Now
That's what I
he
know
is
about him.
unplayable. And yeah, we don't really see him. Of even the people that did get him, we do not see him in HWA or boss fights even really.
Right?
We should note real quick for these for the limited time fighters, we'll put them all probably in the U. We'll talk about them and kind of still talk about their strengths and weaknesses and what makes them good. But these are characters that you can no longer currently invest your diamonds in, unless you count the Chaotic Starlight. We'll just put these all in the U category, but we'll talk about what their strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah, I think they're important to the game because they do exist, but how relevant are they if they're unobtainable? It's like, oh, okay, well I can't get those, and I'm getting. What have we gotten? 3 chaotic starlights since May.
Yes, so far we've gotten 3 of them.
So that'll take a bit. That's like a
It will
three.
take
That's like a 3-year investment, guys. If you were to break it down.
Yeah, it's up there. It's like 14 months.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll use that as an excuse to jump over to another special summon unit, and we can go to Gormagala Ken
Ooh,
for a
nice.
second. So there's another unobtainable, but this one is different from Dante in that he's actually good. And I'm probably going to use my Chaotic Starlight for Gormagala Ken unless someone better comes along. That's what I'm
Nice.
leaning right now.
He was our first trigger unit, right?
Mhm.
If I'm thinking
Yeah,
correctly.
very first collab.
Yep. Very first collab. He had a sweet mechanic. It started this whole trigger hero, trend. It's a
Yeah.
really fun mechanic because you have to build the team around them, like,
Yeah, it creates kind of unusual problems
Yep.
that you need to solve.
like, basically your tank needs to be able to have a C2 and then you're good.
Yeah, pretty much. You need everyone who's not the trigger unit is going to be doing a combo move
Yep.
in order to keep the full combo going. So you have to plan it out.
what I've found with these trigger units is you can't put M. Bison on that team and count on him to do a skill, right? Like,
Yeah, too often that it fails, that he's doing some other animation and can't even do it.
yep. And then the time's out and your combo ends. So where are we gonna put him though? Oh, he's unobtainable. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Gormagala will be unobtainable. We'll keep in that category. But if you are using your Chaotic Starlight or something, this is a far better investment than Dante.
Far better. And then the only other one would be Virgil. I think Virgil's pretty good. I think he does a lot of damage. But I think Gormagala probably still takes the cake just because he's sweet. You know, I don't
He's
know
really
anything about him.
honestly, I don't know for certain how useful he'll be in the comps that I have. He's just a really cool fighter, and I got really excited about him at that release. And so I was super bummed when he just went away.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to work on him. He's just cool.
Very cool.
Well, let's go ahead and scrub the rest of the unobtainables and talk about Virgil, since we already brought it up.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I don't know too much about him. But from what I gather, what he does pretty well. However, there are other units that do things pretty well as well that aren't unobtainable. So
Right, exactly. At the end of the day, it's not really a question because it's just not even on the table.
yeah, it's not on the table. But he's pretty cool. And so out of those three, if you had to pick, which one would you go for?
Out of the 3 current unobtainables, I think it's Gormagala Ken, then Virgil, then Dante.
Yep, I fully agree.
With Dante probably a pretty distant third.
Yeah, I would rate them the same. So those are the unobtainables. Can't get them. And Pharaoh Sagat. Yeah.
And Pharaoh Sagat.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that gets those out of the way. Let's get to some fun stuff. Let's start with our boy M. Bison.
Oh,
we all know
man.
where he belongs.
He belongs at the tippy top. He is by far the most useful character. Like, you can put him anywhere, and he's going to perform.
Yeah, even if you only have an A copy, he will be more useful than a bunch of triple S fighters.
Oh, yeah. You betcha. And so that's why, and we said this in the beginning of the video, but everybody needs to be going for M. Bison first. Like, no other character in that divination pool has the same value as M. Bison. He's in a class of his own.
100%. Yeah, if we're talking priority, this is it, guys. This is number 1. M. Bison needs to be your first pick. I don't care what your preferences are. You can go for any character you want after that point, but M. Bison is the most important character to get into your roster.
Exactly, because, I don't think you're going to progress very far in the campaign without him. And this being an idle rewards style game, having him is going to just make you stronger faster. It's just the play. It's the right move. Got to do it. Bison all the way. S rank. I wish I could whistle.
Over. Boom. Let's try Sagat. We did Pharaoh Sagat. Give me your thoughts about OG Sagat.
I really like him. I really, really, really like him. I have him on 2 squads currently. Each squad kind of does something different for me. But they are mainly for boss fights. Sagat is awesome. He can function as a tank. He can function as a DPS. And I've been having a lot of success running my trendy Cammy, Sagat, Evil Ryu, and Elena for some heal team for these boss fights.
Interesting. What's your combo chain then?
It goes trendy Cammy, Super, and C2, and then Sagat C3.
Huh. Interesting.
The only downside to Sagat is sometimes the RNG just won't be in your favor, because a lot of his damage on that C3 comes from him doing the punch multiple times. That's like his gimmick. So I think he's an A, but now that I'm seeing this, putting Sagat as an A makes me immediately want to drop Vega and Trendy Cammy to the B.
Yep. I was just going to say the same thing. Like, because we're talking about the top tier fighters here, we've got to spread it out and look at it in a smaller scope.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
So I am going to go ahead and pop Vega and Trendy Cammy down to B.
Yep.
And we'll bring Sagat into the A tier.
He's really good. Didn't you borrow him this week from me?
I don't know if I did this week, but I have borrowed him from you multiple times. And I
Nice.
think I said this on the Discord before. Like it felt like every time I borrowed him, it got me through a campaign stage I was stuck on.
Yeah.
I just throw him in as an extra tank
Yep.
on one of my teams that wasn't surviving.
He's like everything his character should be.
Yeah.
And Pharaoh Sagat is just something that's really weird. It's like a
Yeah, it's odd to see the comparison now.
uh-huh. Yeah, that's where I put him. A man.
I think so.
Because he's not Bison. You don't need to go for him now, right? But he's really good.
He's really good. He will help you through the campaign stages.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a PvP unit,
No.
um,
No.
but he's great for bosses and as a tank in the campaign for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, you already mentioned Evil Ryu when you were talking about that comp, so let's go to him next.
All right. Um, I think I'm gonna put him. Gosh, I want to put him up in the S. I really, really do. Um, and here's why.
It's between A and S. It's really close.
It's I know he's like right there. So like he doesn't complete a team. Like he doesn't have a role per se, but his output is amazing, and his ability to kill an opponent's bison is like really unique. I just use him everywhere. He's like you can plug him in, and so long as you have somebody who can do a C2, you're good to go.
He's really, really strong. It's man, it's between A and S. The thing that might put him over the top is what he can do to Bison.
Mm-hmm.
But even without that, he's a really powerful unit.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard that he's supposed to pair really well with Akuma, but I have Akuma. I do not have Evil Ryu. And
Huh.
when I've borrowed other people's Evil Ryu, I haven't gotten it to work so far.
Okay, so there's like something you got to do, or like a combo string that you got to hit.
Yeah, or maybe I don't know. Maybe Oni's supposed to be in there too. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Oni is sweet. He's really strong. But then again, see here you go. I think Oni and Evil Ryu probably belong right next to each other on this tier list.
Man, I'm leaning toward A
Yep.
for Evil Ryu right now,
Totally
but
cool
it's
with that. Yeah.
so close.
I wish we could put like A.5, you know. It's like
Yeah,
it's on its way.
I'll borrow a phrase that you used in one of the lists you made a while back. That he's A with some sprinkles on top.
He's all that in a bag of chips. Yeah. All right, love it. Put those sprinkles on, baby. Let's go.
A with some sprinkles. We talked about Oni, so let's jump to Oni next.
Yeah, I think he's probably got to belong right there next to Evil Ryu. What do you know about him?
I don't know much. However, it's interesting. Just today, actually, I posted a video for my guide to beating level 3740, which is the
Nice.
first team stage in the campaign. And the way that I beat it with my third team was with Oni. He was my carry.
No way.
That clearly speaks to his value. Unfortunately, that's basically the only exposure that I've had to him.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know him well, but he got me through what is arguably the toughest stage in the campaign.
Yeah, I struggled on that level mightily. My question to you, what was the utility of Oni? Was it the DPS or was it the survivability?
It was more the DPS. I needed the team to be just stupid fast so that I could get off like 3 combo strings without the enemy getting any of theirs off. So
Oh,
I was
okay.
using like Blanca to get some free interrupts and hoping for RNG on that. And then Oni was my primary damage dealer.
Yeah.
And he does enough damage to be able to really make a meaningful dent with a single combo string. So it was more DPS than his survivability in this case.
That's kind of the same story with Evil Ryu.
I think Oni currently probably fits in the A tier. He's really strong. He has more value, in my opinion, than Vega or Trendy Cammy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You can plug them in
So
more lineups. Yep.
yeah, so I'm leaning A tier.
Yep. I'm good with it. Let's roll.
Kind of in that same vein, how about Akuma?
Yeah. Hey, I think the Falcon needs to speak on this one.
Akuma is interesting because he does just such a crazy amount of damage,
Hmm.
but it is only single target,
Yeah.
and it's specialized. For him to work properly, you need to be able to pull off his super when you need to as well.
Why?
So
Why is that? Like.
when you get to the C2, you will perform one of 2 moves, depending on how many of the is it Satsui no Iki? I forget if that's evil Ryu, so maybe I got the wrong thing. But whatever it is, he
Yeah.
has to build enough stacks of them. When his C2 is activated, it uses up all of the stacks. If it does the lesser of the two, the lower punch, it
Yeah.
will use up those stacks and make it harder to get to Shinshan Goku Satsu. He starts his super. You choose when he does his C2
Okay. Okay. That makes a
because
lot
if
of
he doesn't
sense.
have enough stacks to do the Shinshan Goku Satsu, you don't want him to do the C2.
No, you're showing your hand too early, you know?
So
Yeah.
I mean, he's a unique unit. The trouble is I haven't had a ton of success in most modes. He is doing some work on some of these boss fights,
Mm.
but truthfully, I'm leaning towards B tier.
I think he's really cool and he's fun to use. And like you were saying, he's nuanced. You can't just put it in auto and expect the outcome. You have to play the game. And that makes a
Mhm.
unit really, really fun. uh,
Yeah, and that's why I went for him partially. I'm a manual player. I love having those kind of units where I can pick and choose the combos as I go along and
yep.
adapt my strategy as I go. Let's see. How about Summer Ibuki?
Ooh. I think she's real good, dude.
She's so fast.
Yeah. And there was like a month and a half earlier this year for which I thought that the meta was going to switch to these speed units or like debuffing speed or buffing speed, or the game was going to get really speed based, and it still might. But if it does, she's a beast, and then she is the meta. So I think her utility is awesome, and she does a whole ton of damage, guys.
He does. It's really shocking because you don't think of her as a damage dealer, but man, she pumps it out.
Real good. And so for all of those reasons, I think she's a clear cut A. I think somebody after Bison could choose to go for her and would not be sad. You have the damage and the utility. She's unique, and she's one of these units that makes all of your other units better. She's not just giving herself speed; she's giving everybody speed, and
Yeah.
and that's really really important. And that's kind of like Evil Ryu, him being on the field due to his passive buffs everybody else. Units that do that, I think, are quite a bit more valuable,
Yeah,
especially when they do
definitely.
damage too.
Yeah, for sure. Because and she's doing it for free. She's not in the combo chain. That's the thing that's easy to
Trigger,
forget. It's not like you're choosing a different combo. You're getting a bonus combo move with these trigger units.
love it.
I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
We're gonna put her in A tier.
Oof.
That kind of leads me to another interesting unit, Summer Elena,
Oh.
who's a little bit similar in some ways.
Yeah, another trigger unit here, and she's kind of been the talk of the town on our Discord recently. A couple of our tried and true members of our SFD Discord channel have built her, got her to SSS, and have been raving about her and plugging them into certain teams and having good success with boss fights. If you want to think about it, Summer Ibuki's doing the speed, Summer Elena's doing the healing. Both units are buffers, so they both help the whole
Mhm.
team. Man, and okay, so here's something else you got to think about. You have regular Elena, you have Summer Yang, you might put Rose in there, but who else is going to be a main healer for you? And like
That's
you were,
pretty much it. No one's using Hugo.
yeah, no, like you were saying earlier, we're now into the stage of the game where you got to do three team fights. You might need a third healer. I'd put her at A. I don't think there's any mistake in choosing to build her after Bison.
I'm tempted to put Summer Elena in S.
Oh, let's hear it.
Now obviously M Bison's at the top, but Summer Elena is our support trigger unit,
Hmm.
where we don't have to worry about that C1 being taken up. Where we can still use whatever C1s we want. We can set up different combo chains because that C1 gets freed up completely because she's just in the background doing her thing.
Man, you just
And to
blew
have
my
a
mind.
support unit, what's that?
Just blew my mind. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, so it opens up a whole bunch of new opportunities. Plus, it's worth noting that she is super valuable at low grades, just like Bison is. Probably not to
Oh,
that extreme,
yeah.
but she can be used at like A plus or S.
Gosh, that's
And
such
and all it takes
value.
is kind of plugging her in, and any of those boss fights, your scores are going to shoot up. I think she might be S.
Do you think it would be a valid strategy to go for Bison first, and then maybe you just take Summer Elena to SS, get her fighting spirit unlocked, and then switch gears to somebody else that's going to give you some more DPS,
Yeah,
depending
no, I
on what
think
you
I
want
think
to
you
do.
might have nailed it on the head there. I think that might be the way to go. We start with Bison, and maybe the strat is to go to SS. If you're feeling them, go to triple S. You're going to get there eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But then go to Summer Elena and bring her. I don't know. It's kind of you'll have to feel it out. I would say at least SS, so you can start working on the fighting spirit.
Yeah.
But you can kind of build those vehicles in the background,
Yep.
and she's going to have a ton of utility. And then, boom, you can move on to another fighter. You don't have to waste all that time for the final 4 copies to go from SS plus to SSS.
I think we have sufficiently justified her S rank. I'm with you, bud. I'm going S. Yeah, I would have missed out on that. I'm gonna go for Summer Elena. I was gonna do Vega Cami because I think they're really really good.
Well, that's the perfect one to jump to next, because that is who I've started working on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Vega Cami. They're obviously completely unique because we have 2 fighters in one.
Yeah.
So their super swaps out which fighter is there and also boosts something depending on which one is being traded out.
Okay.
And then they both have it's a trigger unit, so they're again firing off in the background, huge damage.
Yeah.
A little on the flimsy side. So right now I have them at I think just SS, maybe SS plus.
Okay.
And so far they're a little bit too squishy at that rank to do good work. But we saw in the trials the amount of damage that they're capable of.
Yeah. How
And
easy was that trial? Like,
right, especially compared to the Pharaoh Sagat one that we're sitting on right now, where we have to do a bunch of replays on one.
uh,
Cammy and Vega just swept through. They're clearly a DPS monster.
and if you're having troubles with Pharaoh Sagat uh, trials, we should have a video up on Grind Force Gaming on our YouTube channel. Check it out.
Yep.
I think A is probably where I would put them. We have a lot of characters that do ridiculous damage, and she's not really helping anybody else.
Yeah, it's hard. There's another one where they are a very new fighter, so it's hard to say for certain. We don't know how they're gonna squeeze into the meta yet. And you're right, they don't do much else.
Yeah.
I mean, they're damage monsters, but they don't have any of like you were saying, the kind of gimmicks or that niche that kind of specializes a fighter.
A or B, I think. I don't think they're S. I think A or
I
B.
don't think they're S. They're not C. Like I said, I'm pulling for them. I have high hopes for them, but we
Mm-hmm.
just don't know for sure yet.
They don't have any elemental to them, but do they have like a bleed mechanic?
It depends on who's out in front. It's kind of interesting. So if Vega's out, he will be causing bleed damage. If Cammy's out, she'll be inflicting armor break.
Oh, that's so cool. You
Yeah.
could put
So
her anywhere. That she could go on a
well,
Sea Viper team.
yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of options, and it's another one of those characters that's a kind of manual favored
Mm-hmm.
because you'll want to manually switch how the things are changing around with this character. I'm really excited about them. But I think for now, if we're talking about priorities, I'm going to put them in the B tier, I think.
Okay, and if I understand your logic correctly, it's because there are other characters that do DPS.
Yes. If it is just damage, then it will be only a matter of time before they're eclipsed.
Yeah.
Someone else is going to come along and do more damage better. And if that's their only gimmick, then they don't have anything else to fall back on.
Yep. Okay.
All of our other A tiers have a couple of things going on. So that's my justification.
Love it. All right.
Moving ahead, let's go to a wonky one. How about Juri?
Jury. Did they fix her? She's the lowest tier, right? She's the lowest tier, but I remember people saying that her kit wasn't working properly.
To my knowledge, it has not been fixed. It's still malfunctioning.
Okay.
If it gets fixed, we'll take another look at it.
Yeah.
But as she stands right now, it's she's just not able to do anything
Nope.
special that someone else can't do better.
Yep.
So I can't think of any justification for her being anything other than the lowest tier if we're talking about these units.
Yes. Low priority, guys. Plus, like, you you kind of will just build some of these characters very, very slowly over time anyway. So just please
Hmm.
don't invest diamonds into somebody like Yuri unless you want to, but do whatever
Yeah,
you want.
as always, whatever makes the game fun for you, do it.
Yeah,
If you want to have a particular fighter, by all means, invest in them and do your thing. But if you're talking about utility, Jury's not your girl.
not your gal. Don't put a
How
ring
about
on it.
we don't put a ring on it? How about we go to the other special faction fighter that was released at release, Jen.
Jen, okay. Like you were saying, he's got a really unique kit. But he's not better than Trendy Cammy and he's not better than Vega. I think he has to be uh, a C.
I know. I'm like almost choked up here. It hurts.
I know.
It hurts me to do this. And I do stand by his assist being the best assist in the game.
Mm,
And if you get his FS30 and vehicles and everything, he is a valuable fighter. But if we're doing a comparison here, he was out and available at release. And the simple truth is, as new fighters have come out,
yeah.
the new fighters have been better. I love Jen. If you enjoy the fighter, get him. He'll be a lot of fun to use. I really enjoy using him. But if we're talking tier, God, this hurts me. But yeah,
Ah,
I'm thinking C tier.
I know.
He's definitely a lot better than Jury.
Yep.
It sucks to see them together like this because he's leagues above her.
Yeah.
But the way that we're doing this with this specialized view of these fighters only, he's going to be at the bottom of this list.
He's not quite there. But he got you through a lot of the mid game. So there's value here and like you said, if you think he's sweet, he will be fun for you.
Let's go to one of the roses. Let's do normal rose first. Since we're going with the ones that were out at release. Normal rose. What do you think?
I think out of those characters that were released with the game, she's probably the best out of those. There were only three, right? It was her, Jen, and Jury,
And Bison. And Bison.
and Bison. But
It was those four.
okay, I think it would go Bison and then Rose and then Jen and then Jury. I think that would be my order of the original, the OG SFD divination characters.
I agree. Do you think she's better enough than Jen to be B tier?
No,
Think she's also going to be C tier?
if she did her healing and then did crazy damage, she would be moving up. But she heals and she's not the best healer in the game. And
Yeah.
she does some buffing, but she's not the best buffing unit in the game. Like we were saying, the better teams that we're seeing in these boss fights or HWA do something specific,
Right.
And her kit's just kind of too all over the place. I'd put her at the C. I don't think she's at the B yet.
She is better than Jen. But, well, yeah, I mean, here's the problem because we're doing a comparison. Get Summer Elena.
Yeah.
She'll do everything Rose does better.
Oh yeah. Get some Elena.
So that's why we have to do it this way.
Yep.
Rose is a good fighter. And all of these, by the way, are better than most of the normal faction fighters. These are mostly great fighters all around.
Yeah.
But we have to rank them within this scope of things. So Rose is going to be C tier out of these particular fighters.
Yeah, and like there's probably only 5 regular faction fighters that like just take the cake and are way better than a lot of these divination characters.
Yeah, we could rattle off the 5 of them right now. Sea Viper, Dulcine, Guile,
Yep.
Fashion Blanca,
BZ.
BZ. There it is. There's our 5. For support, Elena and Summer Yang. But yeah.
Yeah, of course. And Abel, Abel could be up there.
Yep.
But all of a sudden, Abel, like we should just have Goken,
That's what I was just going to say. Since you mentioned Abel, I was like, well, let's talk about tanks. How
Yeah.
about we go to Goken? Because if we're going to talk about comparisons, Goken is going to be the better option.
Yeah, name another tank on this list.
Sagat, kind of. Bison, kind of.
Yeah, pseudo tanks, but
Pretty much it.
fighters by class. My point is, out of all these characters, if there's only one real true tank, Goken's probably got to be in the S. He A or S,
Ooh.
I think A or S. If you're running 3 teams or even 4 teams, all of a sudden I'm starting to run out of like really, really good tanks. Yeah, and his ability to resurrect everybody. I mean,
That one's huge.
that's like so unique, and so he's giving you survivability. His C2 is pretty. He's got C2
Hmm.
is pretty good. The damage is there, so you could put a trigger unit with him. And so there's value everywhere. Like if you build him, you are going to be hard pressed to find a reason to use somebody else as a tank. Like
If you build him, you will come.
yeah, I think so. A or S. Maybe he's A with sprinkles on top, like Evil Ryu.
But I was thinking solid A tier before
Solid
we
A.
started discussing it, like kind of a solid in the A tier.
But it comes down to
So you
what you
think
need. Like
yeah, you're right. You're right. This is the only real tank on this list. So he's got a unique thing going on with that. And that resurrection is so cool.
and it's gonna win you fights, here and there, and it's gonna be the coolest thing, and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, that was so awesome. And people are using him in HWA. They're using him in boss fights. They're using him all over the place.
That's a good point. You see him all over the place.
He's there.
He's clearly working for people.
Yep.
I could be sold on S tier for Goken.
I think so. I think he's really good.
Goken getting the S.
All right. And tune in for future tier lists. All of this is subject to change.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially
These
as
are our
new
opinions
fighters.
now. Don't hold us to account later.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to a kind of unusual one. Diviner Rose.
Oh, so interesting. I haven't seen her being used by people at all.
I haven't either, and I admit I don't know a lot about her kit. Frankly, her kit confuses me.
Yeah. So her and Rose, basically they're C1, C2. One of those two combos essentially either buffs your team or debuffs their team. And it can do any number of things. Why would you ever build a team that is dependent on being lucky?
It's kind of a gambit.
Yeah.
Like throw her in there and maybe she's kind of a Hail Mary victory if things roll out in your favor.
Sure. But I'd rather have Summer Ibuki.
Yeah, I can't if we're talking about who we're gonna choose first, I can't imagine picking her above any of these B tier.
Nope. I think she's
So
C.
I think she's C down there with her other Rose.
Ah, it's a shame.
Well, it is pretty cool that this has left things really well balanced on our
Nice.
tier list. We've got everyone there. So we've got two left. But let's go to Athlete Chun-Li first.
She's cool. You want to talk about cool factor or like doing something unique? Like blocking projectiles? That's pretty sweet. I wish it was
only affecting like particular factions depending on what she's doing.
Mm-hmm. If you read her kit, she's mitigating damage from certain factional bonuses and stuff. And so she's going to pair really, really well with somebody like Zangief and other characters that are also mitigating special faction damage coming at you. Nobody quite works like her, but you definitely don't need her.
Yeah, that's the thing. She's a great unit, a great support unit, a unique case.
She's never going to be the solution to a problem that you face.
Right. Exactly. She's not filling any particular hole in our strategy. She's just able to buff all of our teams pretty well.
There's something there. So I think the B tier for her.
I think so as well. That's what I was leaning toward. There's probably an argument you could make for A tier.
Yeah,
but if we're going to a support unit, then it's Summer Ibuki is better.
Yep, Summer Ibuki's better. Summer Elena's better.
Yeah, I like that. I think Athlete Chun-Li fits well with these other fighters that we have on the B tier. I think those are all comparable.
They're doing something. They're doing something unique, and they're doing it very well. Certainly, you could say all of those things about Athlete Chun-Li. I just think there's many other fighters that I would rather have. B sounds really solid to me. And who's left? I can't even think.
We have one left. Any guesses? Anything on your radar that you can remember?
Guys, I'm not looking at this tier list, so
yeah, Scat can't see the screen here.
Who is it? My goodness.
It was a recent release, really recent release.
I give up.
I'm pulling for him.
You're pulling for Trendy Dulcim.
Trendy Dulcim.
Okay.
That's our final unit from the special units and Divination.
Okay, so every now and then the game will like throw you a bone, right? And I feel like Trendy Dulcim was thrown to us, all of us Trendy Cami players, at gift wrapped. Like, oh, here's Trendy Cami's team's C2. Don't worry about it. We gotcha. and I started building him or pulling for him. I got like one copy, and then I got to thinking, I don't need him for that team right now. That's kind of the whole point of this is like there's an assessment you have to make, like what do you need? The most value is whatever you need right now. And
Mhm.
so I don't see the need for Trendy Dulcim. I think he's just super cool. B or A for me. I don't know. What do you think about him? You're pulling for him?
I am pulling for him. Well, I kind of inadvertently pulling for him because I finished off Bison's push to 2 stars, triple S
Nice.
plus two, so that I
Nice.
could get his soul power going. After that, I saw Trendy Dulcim was one of the newer ones. I love Dulcim, so just kind of on a whim, I did a divination pull, did a 10 pull, and I got a copy. So I was like,
Nice.
okay, well, now I'll do it again, and I got another copy with my next
Oh,
5. So now I've got 3 copies
you got
for
to do
only
it.
10,000 diamonds. So I got to keep going. He's
You got to
calling
do
my
it.
name
You
at
got to
this
do it.
point.
I love it. I love it.
Probably too early to say how he's actually going to perform at this point. That trendy Cami team seems to be the very obvious,
Yeah.
placement for him. But it's too early to have seen him pop up in other game modes, at least that I've seen so far. I haven't seen people using him yet because most people just don't have him yet.
Yeah. I think it takes a little bit for enough people to build fighters after the release.
There's going to be a handful of people who put a ton of money in and get it right away, but that's definitely the exception, just a tiny percentage. After it's been kind of sitting in the pool of fighters you can pull from for long enough, now you've got some data testing from thousands or millions of players, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I was gonna say B tier is what I was leaning for Trendy Dulcim at this time,
Okay.
unless we see something really cool pop off with him when he starts fitting into those teams, whether it's Trendy Cami or someone else.
Let's do this really quickly here. Now that we've kind of pegged out our tiers and defined the lines a little bit, slot Pharaoh Sagat in. Just just put him in there. Like, what do you think? I don't know, A or B.
I would say B or C at this time.
B or C. Okay.
I know that's a little harsh for a unit that came out today, but that's part of the problem. We haven't seen anything in this 24-hour period that's given us anything to really latch onto
Yeah. Yeah.
that's going to make me pull for him.
Gotcha games always get you with the shiny thing, and Pharaoh Sagat's pretty shiny, and I, for one,
Intentionally extra shiny.
he's real shiny. Yeah, he's like, I want him to be awesome. I did. I wanted him to be so cool, but I had a feeling he was going to be a bust. I just think he's a bust. I don't think he's got it. I don't think his kit's there. He's doing some cool damage, and he's got this cool cloning thing going on and everything. But I don't see it.
Yep. I think if you make me choose today based on the little that we know, he's going to land in C tier at this time.
Yep. All right.
This is a good looking list. I love how it ended up kind of pretty even too. We got a nice little pyramid here.
Nice. Yeah, and I'm really happy with our S selections. Here's my advice: M Bison, and then choose from S or A. If you need a boss unit, then choose from B.
That's pretty good advice because everything's situational. So it is going to depend on who you have built and which of the game modes you prefer playing. If you're all about boss fights, there's a lot of these characters in B tier that you're going to want to go for first
Yeah,
because they're super high powered, specifically for that game mode. So if you don't care about PvP or the campaign, by all means go for Vega and try out some of those cool niche team compositions that
yeah,
he can fit into. But if we're talking about fighters that are the most useful to you and that will progress your game across all of the game modes, here's your list: S tier, then A tier.
love it. Man, it's just so cool. This game's really cool.
Well, thanks for chatting with me, Datskat. I think this is a good looking list.
I love it, and thanks for having me on, Falcon. I absolutely love doing lists like this because we get to have great banter. We
I
have,
love the discussion that evolves out of our chats.
yeah,
Well, thanks for an awesome chat. To all of you out there, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please remember give a like, subscribe to Grind Force Gaming. We're putting out these lists and having these discussions all the time. We're going to be trying to do it a little bit more regularly. Hopefully, this list will be helpful for you. This gives you kind of our views on what your priorities should be when you're spending these huge amounts of gems and resources when you're choosing your characters. Hopefully, this will be a helpful guide. With that, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us, Grind Force.
See ya.